Hi everyone, this is Holly from Hot Humble Pie. Welcome to my Christmas series. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you click that button. For this next craft, you're going to need this Dollar Tree house sign, this Dollar Tree flannel tablecloth, and this burlap wine bag, also from the Dollar Tree. So I'm just going to start with removing this little wreath on the front. It's just this little small, crunchy, cheap wreath. And of course, that's not going to work if you want to lay it down flat or hang it up anywhere, so that comes off. The next thing we're going to do is make a template. I'm just using some butcher paper here. You can use any paper you want. And I'm just tracing the inside of the house. And of course, after that, we're going to go ahead and cut that out. And we're going to go ahead and cut out a piece of the flannel tablecloth as well. If you'd like to go ahead and use the front of this sign by removing the paper, you can soak it or spray it with a bit of water and leave it for a bit and then peel it off. You can. I just went ahead and used the back, but I did want those rooftop pieces, so I went ahead and took them off, and as you can see, they were easy enough to remove. I then took the staples out, and then I'm going to go ahead and give it one coat of the white chalk paint. I'm also going to paint the little roof pieces white as well. Next, I'm going to use this ruler and put some faux shiplap lines on this house. I always think that's such a cute, classic look. I like them a little uneven. I think that looks a little bit, I guess, more rustic or natural. And so I did that. And I'm also going to cut out the bag that I got, the wine bag. I'm just cutting it on either side. I'm leaving the biggest part of the sides and the front, and I'm taking some watered down burnt umber paint from Apple Barrel Paint, and I'm just going to stain the rooftop pieces there and then reattach them to my sign. Originally, I was going to use the entire piece of the flannel cloth to cover the entire front of the house, and I just felt like that was going to be a little too busy, so as you saw, I went with the shiplap lines. So I just cut the triangle off the top of that template, and I'm tracing it down onto the flannel tablecloth and cutting it out. Next, I'm going to use the Dollar Tree glue stick. I love glue sticks for applying simple things. It kind of guarantees a no bump and lump finish because it's a nice dry glue. It's the moisture that brings those lumps. So the drier glue you use, the better results you're going to end up with. And I just glue it on the top there. And then I'm going to wrap the sign, well, not the sign, I'm sorry, the little wine bag. It's perfect for this craft, by the way, and it's super good quality. If you come across those wine bags, make sure you pick one up because they're actually lined and they're super thick, and they would make great wine bags to use for actual wine bags, but they make a great gunny sack type look, perfect for this craft. I just cut one side off. It was the back side, and I wrap it around and glue it, and now I'm going to finish it off with a little bit of the Dollar Tree gingham print ribbon in red and white. And now I'm just going to start filling that little pocket up with some pine that I got from Amazon. The link is down below in my description box if you're interested in getting that pine. And I'm just going to fill it with some different kinds of pines. So I have like a different version there, just giving it different Christmas garnishes and a pine cone. And I decided to take one of the Dollar Tree bells, it's the gold bell, and just tap on some white paint. I don't want it to be perfect. I want it to look a little rustic, particularly at Christmas time. I love the rustic distress look. I think it's so pretty. And I'm taking some little holly leaves there. I'm gluing them down, and as you saw, I kind of wrinkled them up and glued them into place so they looked nice and flowing. And I glue the bell in the middle, and that's it. And I think this came out absolutely adorable. this next DIY, I'm going to use the Dollar Tree dice. They come in a pack of 4, some of the Dollar Tree wood and some of their Spanish moss. I don't have any of the wooden skewers right now, so I just use a metal skewer and I stake these little puppies and give them 2 coats of white chalk paint, and then I put 1 coat of chalk paint onto the wood. Now this wood is equal to a furring strip from Home Depot. You can pick one of those up. I think they're around $3 for 8 feet. That's a better deal if you have a cutting tool, and you can do that instead. I just went ahead and decided to go with the pre-cut ones. And as you can see, I hot glued them down onto the wood, kind of at angles, different angles, kind of angling in at a curvature for the look that I'm going for. That's what I wanted to do. So I showed you the top view. I didn't get that on film. I don't know where it went, but it was simple. I just glued it on and then turned it a little bit so that it was curving. And now I'm going to freehand the word Yule onto these, short for Yuletide. Most of you probably already know that, but just in case. And of course you can do any 4-letter word. Well, that sounds bad. You can do any Christmas 4-letter word that you want. You can do Noel. I've seen a lot of that. I just thought it would be fun to do something different, and for the look that I'm going for, it seemed like the word Yule for Yuletide worked perfectly. So I'm trying to get an alpine green here, a little bit darker like the forest greens that you see. And I take a regular Christmas green paint in apple barrel and burnt umber and just mix the two to get this darker green here for my first layer of paint. For this next part, I'm just going around the edges of the cubes and kind of highlighting them and giving them a little bit of a border, almost like a distressing look. I'm just going to kind of do this all around each one of the corners and on the edges and come down, make little frames, and then I'm going to do a final dry brush over that. For my second coat of paint, I'm just going to use the regular Christmas green and add a little bit more green to everywhere that I already painted, just so that it has a little bit more of a Christmassy feel to it. And also I want to kind of get more of that, I guess, like the reindeer moss from the Dollar Tree. I kind of wanted to emulate that a little bit on the blocks, but by painting it on. Next, I'm going to take a permanent marker in black and fill in the letters. Using a white chalk pen, I'm going to go ahead and add some white polka dots. I just thought that looked so cute. I actually saw a similar thing in Hobby Lobby years ago, and I thought it was so cute. So I'm kind of getting my inspiration from that, but I can't totally remember what it looked like. I just kind of have a hazy memory, but I'm getting more or less the vibe. And now I'm adding some candy cane stripes. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take some of the Spanish moss and put it between each one of the cubes just to give this a little bit more of a feel from nature or the forest, which is perfect for the Yuletide. And that's it. I think this came out so cute. For this next DIY, you're going to need some cardboard, a template for a sleigh, and a Dollar Tree placemat, and a coat hanger. Now, I do end up switching that coat hanger to a black version of the same coat hanger, and we go from there. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut out the template for the sleigh. I just Googled sleigh drawing and then used one of the templates that I thought was pretty and put my paper up to the computer screen and traced it out from there. I didn't print it up. It's really easy to do, so you guys can pick whatever sleigh pattern you want. And then I trace it out on this cardboard. I'm going to do it on 2 pieces of cardboard. I put them together at the very end and cut and trim just to make sure they're identical sizes. Next, I'm going to use a cereal box. This is the inside of the cereal box, and I'm going to trace another piece out to glue on top of this to make it nice and smooth on the surface. You can use poster board for this. You can even use, a Kleenex box. I mean, anything that is nice and smooth like that, just to smooth the surface out, works perfect. You can do it all for free if you want. And I'm just going to glue the top of that onto the cardboard. See how it's wrinkled there, and that solves the problem. You just glue the smooth side down and voila, you have a nice smooth sleigh. Next, I'm going to take the Dollar Tree placemat and just cut it along the edges to separate it. There's 2 pieces of material there, a red one and then the Christmas print one. And I'm going to use the red one and a yellow chalk marker and trace around the sleigh a little bit bigger than the sleigh, because we have to wrap this around the sleigh, so make sure you allow for that. I think I left about a 1/4 inch seam around there, and I just roughly traced, but there was definitely enough that I could bend it over, which you'll see me do in a minute. And after I Mod Podge it down onto the smooth side, I put little slits all around and hot glue that down to cover the edges of the cardboard. And of course our sleigh needs an inside as well, so I'm using the other side of the Dollar Tree placemat. Another look I thought would be totally cute is to use those little, I think they're microfiber cloths in the auto section of the Dollar Tree. They're white and they're really fluffy and soft. That would also make a super cute inside of the sleigh. But we're going to work with this because I thought this was super pretty too. So I traced 2 of those out. Don't forget to do them in opposite directions so that you can have them, make sure you just don't do it the same direction, otherwise it'll be reversed when you go to glue it down. And lastly, I just cut a strip of cardboard and I glue some of that material on that to make the center of our sleigh. And you can see what I'm doing here. After I glue the cloth on top of it, you're not really going to see this, so I wasn't too picky about it, and you don't need to be either, but you just glue it down and then you're going to add extra glue around the edges here to hold it into place. Once you have it in place, go ahead and glue the other side of your sleigh on. I then took a hack saw and I cut 2 coat hangers on the end. So, and these 4 pieces here, they're about 1 inch long and they're not totally flat, so I just take the sanding block from the Dollar Tree and I sand them nice and flat. But you do need 2 coat hangers because if you cut them in the middle, then it's too short and stubby. So I did discover that, and I cut the part which is the tail end of the coat hanger, not the handle. It would be the part where your sleeve would be hanging on. That curvature is where it's a curve you see right there that I cut to make the bottom of the sleigh. Now I'm just going to glue each one of those 4 pieces onto those like that. And I'm checking to make sure they're nice and even. And of course, I'm going to glue that onto the bottom of the sleigh. Lastly, you just need to reinforce that a little bit with a little bit of hot glue around the outer edge. So since the sleigh hangs over the bottom a little bit, you can't see that glue where you reinforce it at all. And because I decide I want my sleigh to look like wood, I go ahead and add some apple barrel red paint. You can add any brand red paint you want, but the important thing here is that you're using a brush that has kind of the thick nylon bristles because you want to get those nice strong bristle marks, the brush strokes in there, and that's going to give your sleigh, as you can see, a nice look of faux wood. After that, I take the color Burnt Umber from Apple Barrel Paint, and I go ahead and distress my sleigh a little bit. I even add it to the sleigh little legs there. I don't know if those are called blades. I can't remember exactly what those are called right now, but I just basically distress the whole little thing because my decor is distressed, so that's the look that I want. I want it to look a little antiqued. And we end up with this super cute antiqued Santa sleigh, and I fill it with Christmas florals. You can fill it with anything you want, but I absolutely love this. For this last DIY, you'll need 2 of the Dollar Tree little snowmen and some socks of your choice. Now I want to make this a couple here, so I need to take off those little wooden pieces. I used a utility blade for that. It took some time. If you go really slow, you can get it off, but definitely you have to go slow. If you have any tricks out there, if anyone knows how to get those off without using a blade, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. But I just kind of pried a sharp pointed utility knife under there slowly around the edge. I just kept moving really, really slow, and I popped the scarf off and I popped the nose off, and I even popped the hat part off, which I didn't really need to do, but at the time I had something else in mind, so I popped that off as well. And now I'm just taking, pencil, and I'm drawing a snowman's face and a snow lady's face. I hope that looks like a snow lady. Maybe these are just snow people. But I just made some cute little snow faces for snowmen. I decided to give my snowman a mouth as well. Instead of just filling it in all black, I thought it would be cute to do something different and give them little pink tongues. And now I'm just using some Dollar Tree lipstick. I thought this actually works better than paint for me. And I put some on my finger, and I'm just giving these guys some rosy cheeks. I did use permanent marker for the eyes, the black part that you see there, and I'm using a permanent marker in orange for the nose. And now I'm taking some red paint. It's Apple Barrel Paint again, but you can use any brand. And I'm painting his scarf red and her scarf green. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some white polka dots to her scarf. And when I'm all done with that, I will add some little white stripes to his scarf. And that's what we have so far. So now you're going to take your Dollar Tree sock and stretch it around their head, and then spin it down and glue it kind of crunched up on the corner there so that it looks like a ball. And I'm taking the Dollar Tree pom-poms, and I use 4 of them to kind of make the look of a big pom-pom, although I think it looks cute separate too. It just adds a lot of little sparkle and cuteness. I didn't have any white yarn. If you have some yarn and you'd rather do that, you could make some pom-poms to put on the end of their hats. And I'm doing the same thing here, and I'm showing you how when you pull it over their heads, you kind of have to spin and roll it and hot glue it at the same time, and glue it under their face as well so it stays above their eyes. But when you're all done, it is so worth it. They are so, so cute. In fact, if I had to do this craft again, I probably would cut off the little round wooden part there. You see it where I had to twist it down and glue right there to make it look like the end of the pom-pom, the wood part. I think I may have made it maybe where their hats kind of stick straighter up a little bit and bend like in a little tiny triangle at the top. I might try this craft again next year because I had a lot of fun making it. And I just do the same thing with him. I just add the little red pom-poms. I'm going to glue them together because, of course, they're a snow couple. And instead of a flower, I decide to keep her in that little country look and just give her a little floral mini bow from ribbon in the red and white gingham print. And since all the flowers I had were too big for this little gal, I just tore out the center of a Christmas poinsettia, and I'm going to glue the gold sparkly little pieces in the center of the bow. Lastly, to make them stand up, I'm using more of the Dollar Tree wood, and I'm going to glue them down that way. And that's it. I think these are absolutely adorable. Let me know what you think. If you had fun today, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. It really does help my channel here on YouTube. And as always, until the next video, breathe deep, fret not, and do things that make you happy.